I just got off a 4-night comped cruise on the beautiful Norwegian Getaway. But how much did this free cruise actually cost? Let's break it down. Hey, thanks for joining the video today. My name is Chris. My channel, if you've never been here before, is all about getting you aboard the world's biggest and best ships on the biggest cruise lines for a whole lot less using casino marketing offers. So these are the offers that you'll get via email and snail mail based on your casino play when you're aboard a cruise ship. I've been on over 35 comp cruises and 28 of those have been Royal Caribbean, allowing me to boost my status with Crown and Anchor and get a lot of benefits, plus benefits through their Prime Casino program. But I don't only cruise on Royal Caribbean. I also cruise often on Carnival. I will be on Celebration here in a couple of weeks. I cruise on Princess. I have recently started cruising on Celebrity, which is very exciting. And the subject of today's video, Norwegian Cruise Lines. I've been on 4 Norwegian cruise lines before. This is the first one where I actually seriously gambled in order to try to start getting marketing comps. I've got a breakdown of my play and my opinions of the ship and the overall experience in my latest video, which I'll post in the description. But today's video is all about how much this free fare comped cruise actually cost me. Every penny, from planning to travel, all the things you need to buy beforehand, and everything I spent on the ship. I want to give you a fair assessment of what it's going to cost you out of pocket per day to sail on these cruise ships. I've got a ton of these breakdown videos. I've got its own playlist, which you can also find on my channel. So I kind of got the feeling, I knew this before I started to sail, and it bore out as I experienced this getaway cruise, that it was going to be more expensive for me to take this comp on Norwegian, but I wanted to kind of see how much more expensive it would be. Something to keep in mind, if you have status with Norwegian, especially in their casino program, you're gonna unlock some benefits that will make your cruise cheaper. So if you decide that Norwegian's your line and you start building up loyalty and taking cruises, then you're gonna start seeing some value there. I'm already seeing this value on Royal a lot, which makes it very difficult for me not to cruise on Royal. Besides the fact that I love Royal, I'm absolutely loyal to Royal. Overall, I think it is the best cruise line, but I do like what the other lines offer, and I do like to cruise on them from time to time as well. All right, so having that all out of the way, let's get down to the breakdown of what this cost me. So we start, as always, pre-cruise. Port fees and taxes were $170. That's pretty much fair for a 4-night. Of course, this will be dependent on where you're going to. Obviously, some ports are more expensive than others. Casino admin fee. This is a sticking point for me. And so somebody actually got into my comments on the last video and said, Chris, it's only a $20 fee overall. It's not per day. Unfortunately, that is not true. I looked on my invoice. It is a per day, per person charge. So if you're on a 7-night, it is going to cost you $140 if you're solo and $280 if you're not. That is a huge expense. Wi-Fi, $139.96. That's not too bad, really. That's kind of like the going rate. I do have some hacks with Royal Caribbean since I've built up Crown and Anchor status, and I get a 30% Prime discount, which is the Club Royale first kind of attainable tier at 2,500 points. So I do manage to get much cheaper Wi-Fi on Royal, but that's a loyalty thing. That's not really a apples to apples comparison of the baseline. The drink package. So I was really excited because the drink package, as you know, on Royal Caribbean is extremely expensive. It can be $100 a day and more. I got this for $140 for the entire 4-night sailing. That's an incredible value. The one thing I will denote, though, that's very annoying is they do not include bottled water in this package. So it might not seem like much to you, but to me, I like drinking bottled water. A lot of people said in my comments on the original video when I was kind of complaining about this is that there are water stations at every bar, at the buffet, all over the place. And that is true. But I like the convenience of having bottled water and being able to pick it up at any time. Additionally, I don't want to carry around a bottle. So You can carry around a refillable bottle if you want and use it that way. That's completely up to you. I am also a little bit suspect of the water systems on cruise ships, especially older cruise ships. You can do some YouTube searches to see how they create potable water. I'm not saying it's dangerous. I'm just saying I would prefer something bottled if I can possibly get it. And just so you know, bottled water is over $7 for Dasani on Norwegian. That is kind of, that turns me off. That thing's going to cost them about 25 or 50 cents a unit, and they are marking it up so extremely. That really kind of annoyed me. It doesn't send a great message to your loyal customers. So the total pre-cruise was $529.96. All right, getting to the port. Gas and tolls, about $150. I will say I bought a new car that's not as good on gas, and gas prices have gone up. So this number has gone up over previous times. That's not Norwegian's fault. Parking, $140. I was on a side-by-side. I was on Celebrity in Fort Lauderdale, and then I went to the Getaway, which was in Miami. So just out of convenience sake, I parked at the port, which obviously is extremely expensive. It's $35 a day. My total was $290. Now you can really cut down this number again by finding some offsite parking. I found some parking in downtown Miami that I used previously that was pretty good. Secure lot, take an Uber over. That was like, I think it was just over $8 a day, and then you figure in your Uber and that's gonna add to it a little bit. But obviously a lot less than $35 a day. All right, aboard the ship. Gratuities. So gratuities are amongst the highest of any cruise line on Norwegian. They are $20 a day, so that's $80. Cash tips, that's standard for me. I always bring singles. I tip everybody. I just think you should. It's up to you whether you do or you're not. I'm not going to get into a, prepaid gratuities and cash tips and the whole tipping thing, because I know that's really fiery argument right now online. I appreciate the fact that I get to cruise and I get these comps, so I'm not paying fare. So I just paid the gratuities happily. Gambling, $483. So it was just slightly over my $100 day budget. Folio, so this is all the incidentals. So if you get room service, those very expensive bottled waters, extra drinks around the ship if you don't have a drinks package, all of those kinds of things that you're buying on the ship. I will say another thing that makes kind of NCL a little bit gougy. I bought 2 packs of cigarettes. I know smoking is disgusting, but I did buy 2 packs of cigarettes. On Royal Caribbean, those cigarettes would cost me like $7. They were double that on Norwegian. They were $14 a pack. So my total on board, $860.48. So the grand totals. Pre-cruise, $529.96. Travel was $290. On board was $860.48. And my grand total was $1,680.44. That is a lot for a 4-night. That is something that I couldn't continually do. That's a lot. Per day, $420.11. Now, if I'm being really frugal and careful on Royal Caribbean especially, I can get that number to $150 a day. That allows me to sail often because that number is something that I can manage. $420 a day, that is not sustainable for me. I'd have to cut it down by like 75% if I was to do this, 66 or 75% to make it palatable for me. So that number is high. But how high is it compared to Royal Caribbean? Now, before I get into this comparison, I will say again, loyalty matters. If you have an elevated loyalty status on Norwegian, you're going to get some benefits that are going to make your cruises cheaper. I have some benefits on Royal Caribbean that are great, like Prime, for instance. Once you hit Prime, you get free drinks in the casino whenever it's open. So I can do something like, if I'm going to a show, I'm going to karaoke, I can roll through the bar, walk right up to the bar, get a drink, and continue on my merry way. Royal Caribbean, although technically you should be gambling in order to redeem these drinks, they do not enforce this. Additionally, because I'm Diamond Plus, I get 5 drinks a day. So between that, I don't have to pay for drinks at all on the ship. I also get discounts on a lot of things and a lot of other perks as well. So if you're doing that with Norwegian, of course, you're going to find some benefits that are very helpful for you as well. So I want to really quickly show you this because somebody said, hey, I get all these great perks for, playing it on Norwegian Cruise Lines. And like, I don't fault anybody. They're just trying to tell me what they know. And I encourage you to send me comments because that's how I learn. She said, I am at Ruby tier and I get internet for free and drinks for free, which is fantastic. However, you have to earn 35,000 points to get to Ruby. 35,000 points is going to cost you, with average luck, about $35,000 lost. Now, you know me, I'm a budget gambler. I am not doing nearly that. I average on Royal Caribbean earning about, I would say, 4,000 points, between 4,000 and 5,000 points per casino year. That is so far away from 35,000 points. I will never reach that level. So I'm not going to see those free internets and free drink packages that these other people are getting. Even Sapphire, you get a free Wi-Fi package, which is great. But again, that's $15,000 lost on average in order to earn that each and every year. This is something that resets every year. Now, if you do what I do, hitting the 4,000 point level, you get Pearl, which waives your convenience fees and stuff like that. But that's not really much of a benefit at all. I'll just wrap it by saying, if you're a lower roller, Royal Caribbean unlocks a lot more for you at a lot lower level. If you're a higher roller, yeah, absolutely. I think Norwegian's a really good option for you because you're going to unlock a lot of benefits. And like I've always said, I love Norwegian. I love the experience. Getaway was amazing. I enjoyed so much about it. Thought the food was great. The ship was great. But it's just a matter of what you're willing to spend. All right, so let's do the comparison. So it is Freedom versus Getaway. They were both 4-night cruises out of Miami. Pre-cruise, Freedom was a lot less, $202.02, as opposed to Getaway, which was $529.96. Wi-Fi was more expensive. That pesky admin fee was more expensive. It was just a more expensive initial spend with the drinks package as well. Travel was slightly more expensive to get to Getaway, but again, I want to say that that's not Norwegian's fault. That is a product of higher gas prices and me having a car that's less economical. So I'm not going to fault NCL for that. Onboard, just about the same. So that's actually not too bad. Of course, your folio spend's going to change from cruise to cruise. That's not going to be directly apples to apples, but for this example, pretty much the same. So totals, this is where it's big. $741.57 for Freedom versus $1,097.44 on Getaway. That is a significant amount when you spread that out over 4 nights, because that ends up being $186.38 versus $274.36. Now for this calculation, I took gambling right out of the equation because that is highly volatile. And on this Freedom cruise, I ended up walking off the ship with money, whereas with Getaway, I spent just a little bit over my budget. So it's not fair to include gambling. This is no gambling expenses. So even on Freedom, that $186.38 is getting a little bit above where I'd really like to be, that ideal $150 a day. But anything up to about $200, I consider that being pretty economical. $274, that might only be $74 over my daily budget. But if you're sailing, 6, 7, 8 times a year, you're at sea like 30 nights, 50 nights a year, that is going to get very expensive. All right, so there you go. That is the breakdown. That is every penny I spent. And as I expected, this NCL cruise was significantly more expensive for me than Royal Caribbean or even Princess and Carnival, who have some other really great stuff baked into their programs. Also, Carnival's giving me these wild things where they're giving me drinks around the ship, free cabanas, free Wi-Fi. Like, their offers are getting crazy. So I will be sailing on Celebration here in a couple of weeks because I got a great offer. I can't wait for that. And of course, I'm going to break that all down. There's one more video in this NCL Getaway series, and that is the slots I recommend you play and avoid on NCL Getaway in order to earn comps. Now, this is going to be a shorter video simply because I was told I could not record, but I did manage to get some machines. So I will share with you the machines that I could record that I recommend you play and avoid. I will also be calling NCL before I make that video next week, and I will be seeing if they're giving me any offers. To be completely honest with you, the only way I will probably sail on Norwegian again in the near future is if they offer me a Prima Plus sailing, because I want to get on one of their newest, biggest ships. I've heard such great things about it. And if I'm going to get on these lower class ships, there are other options through the other 4 lines that I cruise on regularly that I would rather select and save some money. So what do you think? Is Norwegian a value for you? Is it something that you will pursue, maybe with a casino match or trying to get on board and earn some offers? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to make sure you know when that next video comes out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and your notification bell is on. As always, thank you so much for watching.